I know. How are you going to compare a game like Spider-Man to Cyberpunk? Well, there are many similarities between the two. Both are open world, both are story focused and character driven, both have bugs at launch, but more importantly, they are games similar in price, releasing on consoles near the holidays. And now I'm going to compare the two to find which one is right for you. Or if you're a struggling gift giver and you don't know which one to give, this video will surely help you out. So before we do begin, I'm going to split this video into two sections, one for PlayStation 4 owners and one for PlayStation 5 owners. And with that said, let's begin the video. So let's begin with PlayStation 4 owners. I'm going to put this one simply. I cannot recommend Cyberpunk 2077 at its current state for the PlayStation 4. The game is simply incomplete and is a buggy mess with lots of janky errors. I'm currently playing through the game on PC, and to be honest, this game is just not made for less powerful platforms. People with lower end PCs or the last generation consoles are not the target audience for this. We are among the group of people whose concerns are not being heard. This game was made for those who have the newest and best tech available to them. I mean, just take a look at this gameplay. The gameplay from Cyberpunk 2077, it's a shit show. If we are discussing graphics and performance entirely, which is not what makes a game, but in this case, it's a very important factor, it looks like this game was smeared with Vaseline. It's gotten so bad that these developers are actually giving out refunds for misleading the audience and for poor performance. And they're saying that it might not even be fixed until at least January or February. So this is a hard pass for any PlayStation 4 user. And I'm not trying to knock the story at all with this. It's a completely different topic. That the story is one of a kind, and when the game is working, it really works. You can see what the developers were striving for. Unfortunately, PlayStation 4 owners are not going to experience how the game was meant to be played, at least not at this time. And with that, I recommend Miles Morales. If you or your loved one are on PlayStation 4, the number of negatives with the console version of Cyberpunk severely outweigh the positives, and it makes the game an unpleasant, unenjoyable, unplayable experience that no gamer should ever have to deal with. With Miles Morales, at least you will get a game that can do the basics and function properly. And while there may be graphical hiccups and performance issues here and there, it is not compared to how bad the other one is. So, PlayStation 4 owners, if you're torn between Miles Morales or Cyberpunk 2077, get Miles Morales. It will overall be a better experience for you. Now for my PlayStation 5 owners, you will have a much better experience that is more aligned with how the game is intended to be played. So this is where the conversation actually starts as to which game you should get. And we're going to start out by discussing the story first. And this one kind of comes down to personal preference, so I'll try to appeal to each side. Miles Morales is a story where you follow the path. You see the story unfold in front of your eyes. You are a passenger on the train has twists and turns, but you ultimately know where you're going to end up at your destination. While with Cyberpunk, it's a story where you create the path. It's your story. It's your character. You are the conductor of the train, but even you don't know where you're going or how you're going to end up getting there. Both make for compelling story arcs. You will not experience a relationship like one between Miles and his community or family in Cyberpunk. Yet again, you won't experience the massive opportunities that you have available to you in a game like Cyberpunk compared to Miles Morales. So which one is more interesting to you? When you're getting from point A to point B, do you want to swing, fight crime, help your local small businesses retrieve their stolen goods back? Or do you want to drive your car, get stopped by someone whose crotch is on fire, and help them? It comes down to what you like. And if you're one who's focusing strictly on playtime, you will experience about 20 to 30 hours to do mostly everything in Miles Morales, not including New Game Plus. While with Cyberpunk, I'm currently 70 hours in, and I've done a good amount of side quests, but I'm still nowhere near completing all of them, and that's easily another 30 to 40 hours if I'm being honest, maybe even longer than that. Now let's go ahead and shift the topics towards open world and bugs. So both of them have beautiful open worlds. New York City is immersive, and it's an accurate representation of that, which is something that we saw in Spider-Man PS4. And there are some changes from that world, but overall it's mostly the same. It's alive and well, civilians will interact with you, cars will drive around, while Night City from Cyberpunk is something new and is not based on anything to my knowledge. It's also probably one of the biggest open world maps that I've played on. Both worlds are filled with secrets and Easter eggs to discover that will keep you busy exploring. However, there were some things that I noticed in Cyberpunk, which was the world may appear to be alive in some cases when it's actually not. The cars are sometimes set into these predetermined paths and will even go around in circles endlessly. You may be driving in the Badlands, approaching vehicles in the distance, but as you get closer, they start to disappear. It's odd and something feels off about it. I'm not exactly sure if that's the intention behind it, but just something just feels off about it. Which leads me on to my next section, which is the bugs. It's unfortunate that in 2020, we need to discuss how big of a factor bugs and glitches are into purchasing a game. So with Miles Morales, you may climb into walls you shouldn't, you may turn into a lamppost or a brick or a box or a trash can, your body may disappear, character models may fail to load in, you may experience a couple crashes or two, but it's a little bit rare. So during my playthrough, aside from one instance where a character didn't load in, I rarely ran into issues playing the game. And even on PS4, I had no crashes at all. While players on PS5 were more likely to crash, it's nothing too significant than what we've gotten used to over the generation. Now with Cyberpunk, this game is a buggy mess at the time of this recording. It is much buggier than compared to Miles Morales, and it could very well influence how you want to put up with this game. Obviously, there are some funny ones. People may trip and die. Your car may go flying, but there are times where it's incredibly frustrating. People walk through doors in vital scenes. Your gun may disappear. Things may not load in properly. You have blatant pop-in textures. It very well distracts you from the moment and could make your experience very distasteful. And in Cyberpunk's case, they are actively working towards fixing these issues. They have only spoken on the PS4 and Xbox One versions at this time, and they said that their versions will take until at least January and February to be suitable. So it really comes down to if you want to jump in, if you really want to take that leap of faith. I think a good way to combine everything that we discussed will be this. If you want a solid story with a game that will give you roughly 20 to 30 hours of playtime, that is fun, enjoyable, that has a handful of bugs, but it's getting better, then get Miles Morales. If you want another solid story where it's your story, it will easily give you over 100 hours to do so, but it has a lot of issues along the way. It will get fixed, you just need to pick which one you want to sacrifice for. Now there is one more thing that I failed to mention earlier. There is the Ultimate Edition for Miles Morales, which includes Spider-Man PS4 for the PS5. And if you have not played that game yet, this is undoubtedly your best option. The remastered Spider-Man game alongside Miles Morales are solid options and solid games to play. It's a little bit more money, but the overall experience and adventure will be more enjoyable than the current state of Cyberpunk 2077. Anyways, that about concludes today's video. I hope I was helpful in getting you to decide which game to get for the holidays. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like and even consider subscribing as well. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye bye.